Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have a crossover video for you, also known as a did not crossover video for you. And we're going to go ahead and lay the groundwork for some of this stuff. We'll take a look and see some of these coins, and you can tell me what you think about why they crossed or didn't cross. This coin, get a feel for what you see there, and then you can decide why it crossed or didn't cross. What does your gut tell you on this coin? I will say that the coin is graded a dimple, so maybe that's one of the reasons why it didn't cross. For those of you who watched 63 dimple, lovely coin. I mean, you know, maybe they didn't call it a dimple, or that maybe they didn't call it a 3, but I mean, really, it's a nice looking coin. So for those of you who saw the really big batch of crossovers that we got done just a few weeks ago, this is kind of a continuation. Most all of these are for a customer, or actually all of these are for a customer. More of the same stuff, different results. And I'll tell you, that first group that came back was all sent in on economy. This group was all sent in on standard because of the price points. And as you'll see, the results were very different. All right, this 83S that did not cross. What are you seeing there, guys? All right, well, this one I can understand. I mean, as my first glance at this coin is telling me, you know, it's a middle AU, but well, I get it. I mean, so I would call, at first glance, I would have called it either 53 or 55. Okay, so just a couple things there. They called it a 55, so I can understand if you want to say, well, it's only a 3 because there's just too much luster missing in the field. And by that I mean this area right here in front of Liberty. Just a little too much gone. The reverse, of course, looks like it's really nice because there's very little luster missing just in those open fields around it. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling, folks. You tell me what you see. 84cc. All right, how are you grading this coin? Why didn't it cross? Should it cross? This one I can understand not crossing. I'll tell you in a second because, you know, my first gut says, you know, it's nice, really nice 64 coin, and they called it a 5. The reverse is, of course, as always, stunning and is probably a 5 all day long, but the obverse is not. And only an idiot would want split grading, so we're going to go with 1 grade on that. All right, next up. So this one I can really appreciate, this 86. This is going to be an 86.0, right? Yeah. 86.0s are really tough and higher grade. And the thing I appreciate about this is that they called it cleaned. So the grade doesn't matter too much. 58 would have been a hard nut to crack to me on this coin. You know, there's just not a lot of luster for a coin that doesn't have any wear. So that is probably what they're referring to on the cleaning side of things. It's just very dull. It's like there's no luster right there. Now, O-mints, some of these O-mints from that time period can come a little bit less shiny, but you know, this one, I'm thinking it's just been dipped one too many times, and I don't know that they would call it cleaned necessarily for something that's been dipped. I gotta keep track of where I'm going here. All right, 93. Oh. When did this turn into karaoke night? Seriously. So what are you guys calling this coin, huh? You know, you can get it down to a nice circulated grade pretty quick. You know, I'm calling it a nice middle grade actually. Now I would have gone something like a VF25 on this coin, so I'm looking at a VF35 and saying, okay, I want to see more. I want to see more hair in the hairline for a 35. I mean, that's like one step away from hitting an extra fine. So that one I understand not crossing. All right. Oh, this one's interesting. We got 1917. It's interesting because once again, they gave us the details, PVC residue, which I really appreciate when they give that type of detail. And really strong coin. That is a full head. So the type ones, their full head on type ones come really awesome. And I will say, because this coin was only graded a 63, I think if they don't call it PVC, it's going to make the grade all day long. You know, it's just a really nice unk coin. So to get, I got to get my angles right here. Which way are we headed? Usually, if you got to get the coin at, how would I put that, in a 90-degree angle to the light to start to see where the PVC is on a coin. Also, just man, I wish I could give credit where credit is due. Also, I've had a couple people tell me that it helps them to grade coins when they look at the coin upside down. And I know exactly what they're talking about, because when you look at the coin upside right, you're looking at the coin, and when you have it at a different angle, you're looking for something different. So that's just a little, there you go, coin life hacks. Well, the PVC on here is very subtle because I'm looking for it and it's not popping. Usually you can see at an angle like that, you can see some of the different tones. Usually it'll be a little bit of green if it's PVC. Usually. Okay, this is a 98S. That's a tougher date. A lot of action going on there. That's like a lot of action. So low grade, lower mint state grade, right? MS62, also VAM4 S over S. You like the original holder on that? Let's see if we can catch the S over S on this guy. I don't have my VAM book in front of me, but I think we'll be able to see it. Let me grab my upgrade loop here to a higher power. Always remember to consult a higher power when you're grading coins. And here we go. So the S over S, I'm trying to see here if you can see the serif. This looks like there's the extra serif on it, but I'll tell you what, the toning makes it really hard to see around that S. It's just not an easy get, not easy to see. No, it's interesting on this one, MS62. I mean, I can understand why you'd only want to call that a 1 with all the stuff going on in the field there. So I can understand that one. 99 Philly. Okay, first thing to note, really lustrous coin, and also has this line across the cheek here. And the thing to look at and see, is that a raised line? Is it a scratch? The vertical lines don't bother me as much because that's usually from the planchet getting rolled out when you see all those lines on there. Now they only called this coin a 63. So, you know, really, once again, that line coming across the jaw. See, I'm intrigued by this one because to me, you could call this a couple different ways, but like did not cross. Go ahead and give me the label that says, hey, scratched. Just tell me you think it's scratched. Because otherwise, I've seen plenty of coins like this, full luster, beautiful fields, has the scratch, and then they do what they call, in the business, they call it a net grade. Now, sometimes you'll see a net grade where they actually write something on the label that says net, XF, net, VF details. But in the industry, there's actually something where it's called, net grading, where you take a coin and it has a slight problem, and you just knock it down a grade, right? It's one of those unwritten rules. It's kind of like a makeup call in sports. Well, that's a makeup call. And we've got a 99S here. That's a tougher date. Oh, I just got rid of the label. That's not going to help here. Look at that. Cleaned once again. Thank you for the extra details. I appreciate that. This was graded MS60, which is kind of a wild grade to get on an old ANACS soapbox. So once again, with what I was just saying about net grading something, has this been net graded to a 60 because of a cleaning? Before they used to change up the labels. First of all, I mean, a drunken sailor put that S on there. The thing is just nice and sideways. You know, I kind of want to tap it and see if it falls off. But once again, I'm looking to see, do we have the hairlines on here? Do we have something that's really popping up to tell me it's cleaned? And once again, sometimes some of that stuff is so subtle, it still is very hard to get on film. As much as I try to catch some of that stuff, there are sometimes things that I can see better without my camera in the way here. Interesting grade. I'm not as so sure that I see what they see on this one as much as I've seen some of the other things that they've talked about or that they've called out, I'd say. All right, I've got a few more here that did not make it, and then we're going to get to a bunch that did cross. And this guy, DNC, on a 01 Philly. Oh, interesting. Okay. So once again, this is like that other better date that we saw that's going to be a lower grade AU. This one's tough. So this is when you have to know the primacy of the coin, what the coin looked like at first when it was first made. I will say that my first glance at this, I would have called it a 53, and they had it at a 55. A little bit trickier just because of the way 01s are struck. But, I mean, they can come pretty flat. This is actually a pretty decent strike for an 01. The feathers, a lot of feathers there. And it's kind of a cool looking coin overall with some of that toning. And this whole back section has a halo effect to it on the strike. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the "In God We Trust" seems like it's pressed in. The word "States" looks like it's doubled. Not doubled, but just it has a very unusual look to it. Like it's been carved out around it or something. Very interesting. Did not cross. That one makes sense to me. What do we got here? Just a handful more. 1865 3-cent nickel. Well, that's a change up. And a very, very choice coin. It says on the holder clash dies. You can see where the dies were clashed. You see the lines, especially to the left of the first column. And you can see the clash die area, of course, also in front of Liberty. And MS65 didn't cross. This one I kind of like. I would have crossed it. I mean, it's just nickels are hard. 3-cent nickels. Nickel in general is hard to get a higher grade on, but it really is spot free. 1806. I thought this was a copper coin when I first picked it up because it's so dark. But now check this. This coin's wild. So check this out. It actually has this funky little rainbow tone going on to it. And these are harder to grade because you'll see a lot of this type of stuff where, I mean, just completely flat. Like if I showed you this part of this coin, what would the grade be? We talk about the way coins are struck. But then when you look at this side here, you're like, well, look at all the detail left on that, on those clouds and stuff. And then on the bottom side too. So lots of times on these earlier coins, you'll have softness. It'll oftentimes be just at one end. And you have to take that into account, right? And so usually what you'll see is that it'll be the same side of the coin, right? So it'll be flat on this side, which means it'll be flat on this side here. And, and you have to take that into account. So you can see there's just like no detail at all left on this side. You can just barely make out some of the stars. And then the rest of the coin, the strike follows suit for both sides of the coin. Really intriguing. To me, I'm intrigued this didn't cross. I know that for a lot of you, you're going to look at a coin with that much missing detail and you're going to call it an AG. But, I mean, I've seen a lot of early coins struck just like this. They called it good instead of an AG. I'm really surprised this did not cross. Just because I think it's a nice, just basic good 4. The funky rainbow toning, you actually can see that on the video there. It's like burgundy on top, yellow, green, blue. This is like a full rainbow. It's a Roy G. Biv going on there. So interesting piece. Also, for those of you who didn't notice at first, you're like, is that a quarter? Look how big it is. You probably thought it was a $1/2, but that's a quarter. All right, last one here that didn't cross, and we'll get some crossy crews here. 17D environmental damage. Once again, good to tell us this is actually in a segs holder. 63 full head, 17D environmental damage. Yeah, so this one I get. Okay, so like right away I can see like the residue on this coin. All the stuff in the crevices when it turns to white colors at that angle, you can really see some of the discoloration. Like, so this, they call it environmental damage. I would have looked at it and just said, hey, you got PVC on there, because that's what it looks like when it just has those green overtones. All right, let's get to some winners here, because this one was a whole lot of losers. But let's talk about a real big winner here. So this 1802 large cent. Now this one is really fascinating because I actually know the backstory in this coin. I was actually there when my customer got the coin, and in that ANACS holder, he got it from a dealer, and the dealer priced it at like I want to say roughly 2/3 of gray sheet, maybe. I mean, and I looked at the coin, and because he said, hey, do you think this is a VF 30? And I said, yeah, all day long, which I think is a $600 or $700 coin, and you know, I think he bought it for just like 400 or something like that. But you know, getting back to some of the strikes on earlier coins, you know, that 1806 quarter we were just looking at, you know, you have to be able to just know the series sometimes, to know the primacy of the coin. How did it start? What did it look like? Are flat spots part of a strike or part of wear? And so like on this coin here, you can see most of the coin looks really strong, but even then you can see where it starts to get really flat up here at the top of the coin. See how the O and the S and states, and that it looks really soft over near the edge. So that's a minor example. Like, you may not even notice it, but I'm just pointing it out so you have an idea of like what that looks like. All right, next up we have this 80cc, and in a 64 holder. In case I didn't mention it already, so this group was sent in at the same time as the other group that we got back that had all the crosses that crossed, and of course that was a that one was on economy and this one was standard, and the economy came back 3 weeks faster than the standard. Just something to note. This is a fun, funky looking coin. Did not upgrade, but it did cross, and I mean, if this coin was in a 5 holder, I wouldn't be mad, and it's pretty nice. I understand that not everyone's going to like that funky staining on it, but you know, I don't mind so much. Just getting a close up here of the 80, trying to see if there's a tab below that 8 there, that second 8, or if I'm seeing things. Looks like there might be a tab under there. I'll have to have my guy look at that closer and see what he thinks. My guy, my dude, 88S in a 62. Interesting looking coin again with some funky toning to it. A lot of the ones that didn't cross, I didn't have a problem with them not crossing. And you know, there were a few that I thought should have crossed. 62. This one also lovely coin. Reverse is really strong. It does have some heavier marks. So sometimes you want to talk about the amount of marks, but lots of times it has to do with the heaviness of the marks. You know, same with that one coin we looked at a while ago that was in the MS60. It had some heavier marks. This one's fun and funky because you got a blue label, which is always popular, an MS61, which is kind of an unusual grade to see on a 1928 piece dollar. And they crossed it. They didn't upgrade. You got a couple of fine hairlines in the field. One of the interesting things, again, is you talk about judgment calls on coins, the difference between something that is considered to be environmental damage or something on the surface and something that's considered to be, you know, just toning. Like, as I look at the surface of this coin, all that stuff that, see, the darker stuff actually is the stuff that looks just like normal toning, but this like greenish hue, I guess it's not on, well, it looks to me like it's on the coin and something that you might want to call environmental damage. I would, I think upon looking at this coin again, I would consider sending it off to get conserved. I mean, that's if you want to spend the money, right? But I'm saying if money's not the point, if the point's to conserve the coin, I think all this stuff comes off, and I think that you end up having a coin that's really attractive. And maybe they call it a 62 instead of a 61. All right, here's a tough coin. O2S and 63. My, oh my. Another one with some kind of fun toning to it. That's my kind of toning. I just like the little burnt edges here. You know, I don't mind the wild stuff too. And to be honest with you, with this coin is a mustache away from being a 64, right? I mean, they called it a 63. Honest to goodness, if that mark's not right there, that beauty mark's not there on her lip, you know, I think maybe they actually upgrade it, because I think that's a really, really strong coin overall. Really clean fields, and yeah, just a nice coin. Really clean cheek. O2S, I like that coin. All right, so next up we've got some nickel. What in the nickel is going on here? 5-step MS62. This is the 39 double die reverse. One of my favorite varieties. Not a whole lot of stuff in the nickels or in the varieties or in the nickel varieties that I really like, but the double die reverse on the 39s, you can see it on the Monticello here. Monticello. There's words that I just get nervous even trying to say. But you can see, look at the doubling on the O. The L looks like L's from the Great Gatsby, but that's actually doubling. And then you can see it all the way through there. And then look, the word 5 cents is doubled really strongly. And that's one of my favorites. And just a cool type of variety. Also, the 5 steps. Look at the steps on that guy. So for those of you who aren't familiar, they've got, you know, there's some of those strike designations on coins, full head, full bands. These have full steps on the steps up to Monticello. And actually, believe it or not, he had 2 in 62. One was full steps, one was not. Both came back 62s, which is an interesting, once again, interesting grade. And you can see how the steps are not quite complete, the dead center portion just above the C and the Monticello. I'm going to say it 2 different ways every time. I'm sticking with cello, right? Like it's a cello. All right, last but not least, we got a 91cc, once again with some funky toning to it, in an MS63 holder. We got no upgrades on this group, right? And partially, once again, this is similar to some of the other coins where you'll see a certain mark that your eye gets drawn to, and you can understand a little bit why the grade is, because the rest of the coin looks really nice, but then it's got this line coming up in front of the on the face right there. That's probably going to stop the coin from being a higher grade. And it looks like it is in the metal. It does not look like it is. I'm just trying to see if it was raised at all. So a neat coin, and overall, so for the statisticians out there, I believe that made us 8 crosses out of 21 coins. 13 did not cross, 8 crossed. That's a 38%. That is closer to the national average, also closer to my 3-point shooting percentage. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.